Hey, Michelle, good morning. Yeah, I made a lot of angles just because I'm going to be working all over the place. Hey, Liz, how are you? You guys, you and Zoa inspired me yesterday. Hey, Shayna, how are you? Hope it's not too early out in California for you. Um, I was inspired yesterday by Liz and Zoa. They're like, you need to do another live. And I'm like, I get so busy and I forget to set things up. Hey, Alicia, I'm going to try not to infringe on your time, girlfriend. I'm hoping I'll be done. I'm just going to hang out for a little while. I have some things I need to make, want to make for my grandchildren. I'm echoing and I can't figure out how to shut the echo off. Can anybody else hear the echo? Yes, Alicia, I am still in school. June 18th. It's craziness. Where's that sound coming from? I think it's this one. Or is it this one? Okay, you're both on mute, but they're still echoing. Oh, yes, we have the longest school year ever. Good morning, Anna. We don't start until after Labor Day. Can somebody tell me how to get rid of the echo from the other phone or other connection? It's actually coming from my iPhone. The iPhone is muted on StreamYard. It is muted on the telephone. It is muted. Let me see if I maybe do something else. That's just the ringer. It says it's muted, but it's still echoing. Oh, so yeah. So I'll show you what I did. I've already done this morning. This is pretty cool. And somebody can, I did a test this morning and I'll show you what I found out. So I have, can you see that? I've made a two-sided flag with sewing and sublimation for my daughter and her best friend. Graduation is in 3 weeks. Add a headphone. How do I add the headphone? I don't know what to do with that. And then I decided that when her friends come to her graduation party, I made a bunch of blank garden flags. Can you see that? I made a bunch of blank garden flags. And so I've made one for each one of her friends to take home as a little party favor and graduation gift. Or even plug in but mute all of the other cameras. I've muted all of the other cameras. I'm trying to think if I have something to plug into. I don't think I have anything to plug into it. I don't have any headphones to plug into it. Look over here. Is it that bad for you guys to have the echo? Thanks. You know what, Liz, that flag was so easy to make. Let me show it to you. I ordered last year. I I made face mask, graduation face mask, and I ordered a lot of these tablecloths, the polyester tablecloths. And so literally I cut it where the edge was around the tablecloth, so I have a finished hem right there. And then I ironed it down and I used my cover stitch, and then I folded it down about 1.5 inches, and that's it. That's the blank. It literally took me 5 minutes to make it. It's so simple. It's just a rectangle. And I want to say it's 12 inches, but I cut it 13, and the finished is 15. So it's a 13 by 15 inch flag. And it's a 13 by 15 inch flag. You know what I bet I could get rid of the echo with? Is go get my AirPods and put those in and connect those two there. But that's too much trouble to go in there and get it. I'm just going to live with it. But anyway, it's really easy. And they sublimate really super well. And literally, this right here, I literally went off of the website and I just grabbed that off of their website as their logo and then put it in silhouette. And same thing with this. I did the same thing with their logo. And I just put it into silhouette. And then I made my class of 21. No, I hadn't planned to make a flag, but I can make a flag for you real quick and I can show you how to do it. So I wasn't planning, but I will show you because it's so easy. And I already have some laid out. So let me just go ahead and get it over here. All right, so I have some other things that I have laid out that I'm going to make just so that you can see it. I have quite a few things actually. I have, I've got this Minky fabric, and whenever my older daughters graduated from high school, I made them a shower robe for when they went to college. So my youngest daughter is graduating high school. Her and her best friend are both going away to college. So I'm going to make them a shower robe and monogram their initial on the end of it. And it's out of their favorite colors. So not their school colors, but I'm going to make that today. And then I've got this all cut out. My granddaughter is turning 3, and I'm going to going to Texas in 3 weeks, and so I'm making her a cover up. Look at that, a cover up for her bathing suit, but that way she can still stay looking like Princess Elsa. So I've got that to go on the back of it, and I've got some sleeves, and I've got 2 different ones for different. I've got 2 different granddaughters, so each one will have a different Elsa cape / cover up. Then I have this red, white, and blue that I'm going to make a peplum shirt and some shorts out of it for both of the girls. This is actually a recreation of what my older girls wore when they were little girls. So I'm recreating it with today's fabric, and I'm going to make it for my girls. But let's make a garden pie real quick. That way I know that Liz, it's easy. It's so easy. Okay, so I have a tablecloth. And do you see how this already has a finished edge? So it makes it easy when you do it. And it's folded in 2 layers, so it's easy enough to go ahead and cut 2 out at the same time. Now, I should have made me a pattern. I haven't because I've made so many of them already, but I haven't made the pattern. I just used my cutter and my table mat here. And I have been looking into ordering a new table mat, a cutting mat. You guys tell me what you think. I've had this cutting mat for 25 years or more. actually more than that. It has been through a tornado and survived the tornado. That's why it's kind of yucky looking on one side. It's got stuff all over it and it was embedded in it. And it's seen its better day. But I was like, I don't want to get rid of it. Y'all, put in the chat box. Should I get rid of it and get a new one? Is it time to get a new one? Or would you just keep it? What do you guys think? Should I keep it or get a new one? Treat myself, Liz. That's what I was thinking. But you know what? They don't sell a 72 by 40-inch matte in pink. I would love to have a pink one, but they don't sell it that way. Hey, Anna. Hey, Sandy. So, okay, I'm going to go back to making, hey, Shan. Oh, yeah, hey, Sandy. I get confused when we say hey, Sandy a lot. Anyway, so I also have this ruler. I don't know if I used to make curtains, so I had to have large items. So this is a nice ruler because it measures, of course, I need to go this way. The nice part about it is that I can put it over the edge. I don't know if you can see that. I can put it over the edge where this is, and I can square it. I can square it. Can you see that? I can square it. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to just measure. All right, so Liz, if you're going to use the finished hem of the tablecloth, you don't have to add extra in for hem. If you're not going to use the finished hem, then you're going to have to add an allowance. And I would do a double fold when you iron it. And you would need to add an inch at the bottom. And you're going to want to add an inch and a half, 2 inches at the top so you can fold over to your flap. You want it finished at 15 by 12. So you're going to cut it at 13. You're going to write this down. You're going to cut, or anybody else that wants to make the garden flag out of a tablecloth, you need to cut it at 13 by 18. If you're going to use the finished edge of the tablecloth, then cut it at 13 by 17. 13 by 17. And that makes a nice size garden flag. All right, so I'm going to cut it at 17 because I am going to use the finished edge. I'm going to go in. There's 5, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to go in 13. Now, the reason why I'm only going 13 on the edges is because I have a cover stitch. Now, you can do a serger and then fold it over in a 1/2 inch and sew it down. Or if you have to do a double fold because you don't have a serger or you do not have, you might want to add an extra inch. So cut it at 14 instead of 13. So I'm going to cut mine at 13 because I'm going to use my cover stitch. I need to make an extra flag anyway because my daughter's like, Mom, I would like a flag that has blue bonnets all over it. She's from Texas, so I'm going to bring her a flag with blue bonnets, and I'm going to put Chaffin on the bottom of it, which is their last name. All right, so this is my cut size. It looks really small, but it's not. All right, so that's my cut side, and I have 2 edges right there. I need to turn my iron on. Which I didn't. I'll chat while I'm waiting for my iron to heat up. I also have to make some patterns because I need a new pattern for my shorts. Okay, so when I say double fold, I would fold in, so you have no serger. Okay, so you're going to fold in the first raw edge and iron it, and then you're going to fold it again. Did that make sense, Liz? Can we do it again? So I'm going to fold and iron, and then I'm going to fold and iron again. And that way it gives me this same finished look as right here. Okay? So that way you've got a finished edge, because this fabric, just from me handling it, I don't know if you can see it, it frays really badly. So you're going to want to use either a serger, a cover stitch, or you're going to want to double fold it so that it doesn't fray while it's out in the elements. But you know what? It's so cheap to make and it's so easy. And I'm like, you know, I would probably have to spend like anywhere from yes, it's like tucking your raw edge under the seam, Michelle, exactly. But these blanks are like $4 or $5 to buy a blank flag, or maybe $3, I don't know, depending on what company you go to. But still, I bought a tablecloth that cost me, I want to say $12 or $13 for this huge rectangle polyester tablecloth. And can you imagine how many you can get out of it? Well, you can get more than 12. You can get more than 12 tablecloths. So you can make a lot of them. You can make a lot of money, and you can make them from anything you want. And it's just, if you, and I do the sublimation on it. I used to do embroidered flags, and I would actually go buy flag material. You know, once upon a time I used to make them, but I don't really make them that much anymore. But I have considered making me a new one. But then when you get ready to finish it all down, it's going to look like this on the underside, and it's going to look like this on the edges. And that way you have a nice finished rectangle that ends up being 12 by 15. And like I said, if you have sublimation, if you don't have sublimation, if you have HTV, you can do HTV on these flags also and hang them outside. You know, no flag I've ever purchased has withstood the elements. So it's not like you're gonna keep it for a super long time, because it's not gonna last out there anyway once you put it outside. I do have to tell you what my epic fail was. If anybody out there that does sublimation, I bought a shirt, and I bought it that it is 95% rayon. So I thought, all right, well, rayon is very similar in nature to polyester. So I decided to sublimate on the shirt. So what material would you need to get if you were buying straight flag material? They have flag material, but if you're going to sublimate on it, whatever you get, you're going to need to get polyester. But think of the type of material you would use for a tablecloth. You know, when you order tablecloths and you're going to do like for a great big banquet or something like that, it's that type of material. And I'm not really sure if they sell that on the boat at Joann's, but literally, if you just want to order the tablecloth, I ordered them from Amazon, Michelle. I ordered it from Amazon, and it was here in like 2 days. So, but they do sell flag material, and I would go in there and ask them for polyester flag material. Anyway, here is the shirt. So it's not good. It does not sub well. Rayon does not sub well. So that was so Liz, you're saying no rayon for subbing. Well, guess what? I learned that no rayon for subbing. It doesn't work. So, I mean, it did, but it didn't. It looks like it's definitely old faded glory, but oh, well, you live and learn. I'm still going to give it to her. She'll probably still wear it. It's still a cute shirt. but definitely no rayon. All right, I'm going to come over here to where my iron is. I need to reposition one of my cameras so you can see what I'm doing. You know what? I forgot I'd unplugged my iron. All right. I'm going to still have to wait. Anyway, I still have these cute monograms, and I'm going to order some more shirts from Jiffy Shirts that monogram that sublimated really, really well. That I'm going to do for my daughters and I for 4th of July for the holiday. So anyway, I'm going to, while I'm waiting for my iron to heat up, because I got to wait for it to heat. It's a professional steam iron, and it gets really super hot, and it's really good. Don't burn yourself. My daughter was helping me make the flags the other night, and she burned herself. And I'm like, well, I told you got to be careful. And she burned herself. Burned her leg. So I'm going to put this away. And then I'm going to go ahead and start on something else while I'm waiting for that iron to heat up so I can make good use of my time. And you guys just chat away, because it is hard for me to read the chats and work at the same time. But I just thought I would come on and you guys could see what I'm doing. I already have this pattern that I've already cut out, and I need to make a size 3 because my granddaughter is 3. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. So I'm going to make the shorts out of blue. And I ordered this from Amazon. This one came from Amazon. This one came from that SLW fabric, or SW, something like that. I can't remember. But this is going to be so cute. And I'm going to post pictures of my girls from when they were children. With their shorts on and their shirt. I actually made them not as a 4th of July outfit when they were little, but my cousin's husband had just came home from Iraq from being in the war, and we all dressed up and had a patriotic celebration to welcome home our family hero from going to the war. So now this needs to go on the stretch. So you've got to figure out which way your fabric stretches. And of course it stretches. This has got a 4-way stretch, but it stretches more this way. And because it's short, you want it to stretch more that way. And this is a free shorts pattern that I found off of just by Googling free shorts. And they're going to end up being sort of like biker style shorts. They'll be like biker style shorts. And then the cute tank with the peplum bottom to it. And that was like a design from me from years and years ago. And oh, by the way, I have been loading. Shayna's already found it. She's so clever. I've started loading up pictures to my new Instagram account and creating my new page on Facebook for my baby clothes that I'm designing and making. And if you want to check it out, it is so SEW, so many littles. So many littles. And in my idea of creating this, we have so many littles in my family. It is not even funny. And that's where I came up with the name from. And this particular outfit that I'm making right now is the Rebecca. So I'm naming all of my clothing, and in my mind, these were the children that wore it. And this was Rebecca's favorite outfit. So you cut two of these. You cut two of those for the shorts. And then I need to make a new pattern for the 3-year-old because that's a size 6. And I will say this pattern runs small. It runs small, so I'm going to make a size up from what they actually wear just because I made it already and it runs small. I learned that from another child. So this is the paper pattern that I got off of the website for the shorts. It says it's called Fleece Fun Elastic Summer Shorts. So if you want to Google that and it comes up, but it's a free pattern and it's a nicely made pattern. I was impressed by it. It is a nicely made pattern. So I have marine vinyl that I make my patterns out of. I got this idea from Amber off of Bingham Bliss. She makes all of her patterns out of this marine vinyl, and I'm like, what a smart idea. So, like most of us crafters, we all kind of learn from each other. I do the Amber method with my orders. I'm doing the Amber method with my patterns, and turn this a certain way so I can get this in here. And you just lay it flat over top of your pattern. And I know I do have a video where I actually showed you how to do this and to help you. So the one thing that I dislike about this pattern is the fact that they don't tell you which size is which. So you literally have to count and start. You know what? I just realized that they don't have a size small enough of 5. And the smallest size this one goes to is a 5. But I'm going to use it anyway. It'll just be a little bit bigger. And what you can do is just cut away when you're doing it, when you're actually making your single ounces. So, where's my Sharpie? For those of you that don't know, I used cabinets underneath my work table. So I have actual kitchen cabinets that I bought that were stock kitchen cabinets. And that way I have lots of storage underneath this cutting table, which makes it super nice. Okay, so you just want to line this up on your pattern and you want to trace over the size that you need with the Sharpie. Can you see that? Can you see me what I'm doing? Okay, good. Yeah, I love the fact that I learned how to make multiple cameras in here because then I can move all around and I don't have to worry about, for the most part, having the camera follow me. And I can just move from place to place. And Zoa, I will do the thing about the headphones the next go around. Okay, so you do want to make your markings. I don't like trace these. I just write what it says on it. So you want to make sure you've got these markings because those are important. And this one's going to be a size 5. Summer shorts. And what's so funny is it says fleece fun summer shorts. Who do you know is going to wear fleece in summer? I consider them knit summer shorts. Don't forget to move your paper pattern out from underneath your vinyl before you start cutting. I say that with that tone because guess who has done that before? me, and I've cut right straight through my paper pattern. And I have a smaller, where is it? I have a smaller rotary cutter that I use to cut. And good gracious, there it is. A smaller rotary cutter. I like to use the smaller one to do my patterns than the larger one. And the reason being is when you have to cut through the tight curves, which you do on some children's clothing, it makes it easier to go around these curves. All right, after I'm done cutting this pattern, my iron has heated up, and I'm going to go back over to my iron. And while I'm thinking about it, if you're new to my video, if you have never subbed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. As of yesterday, I have 172 subscribers. I'm almost to the 200 mark. It's so exciting to get to those milestones. And I know some of you are like way past where I am. And that is super. I'm excited for you. And you did it in a short amount of time. But it is still exciting. And I love supporting each one of you. And if you would like to support me, that would be awesome as well. All right, so I got one more piece right here. I highly recommend only using a Sharpie when you do this because I have found that cheap markers smear. And so you don't really want it to smear after you've made it. You want it to stick. You want it to where you can touch it and it'll be dry. And I do try to put paper between my, when you cut off these other. Now I save pieces like this only because you can make smaller pieces for your patterns out of these small pieces. So I usually put them off somewhere else. But I have a couple of different, and then the paper that comes in the roll, I'll usually tear that off when I get a section of it big enough, and then I will use that to separate and fold around my pattern so that they don't stick together. And then I've got a little cubby right here that I store it in. So it's out of the way. Out of the way. I got caught. There we go. It's out of the way. All right. So let's go ahead and get this cut out real quick, and then I can at least make the shorts for you while you're on here. Now, I didn't cut near the fold because it doesn't need to be cut on the fold. But if you notice right here, if you cut towards your edge, you'll end up being able to use that again, and you can double it and use it to make more. So try to use your fabric wisely, lay your patterns wisely. I always try to teach this as a teacher. I have children that you give them a piece of construction paper and you give them a pattern. They want to cut right in the middle of the construction paper. And I'm like, guys, go to the edge and cut to the edge of your construction paper so that you can get more use out of it. So same concept with fabric. Go to the edge and cut close to the edge, and then you can make the most use out of your fabric. And fabric is expensive. It's not like construction paper. So it is pretty pricey, and you do want to use it wisely so you can get the most out of your fabric as you possibly can. And I'm going to mostly use the serger for this. And Liz, I know you don't have a serger, so you have a sewing machine. You can do the same process with this, and you can sew your seams, and then you can go back and zigzag stitch on your edges, and you know, a tighter zigzag stitch, and that way you can do a finished edge on the inside of your clothing When I first started out making children's clothing, back when my little girls were little, and I know you have little girls, so you're going to love making little girls' clothing. Now that you've learned how to use your sewing machine, it's just you've taken the plunge. But anyway, you can make it without a serger because I did. I made plenty of clothes without a serger. So don't let that intimidate you, thinking that you can't do it just because you don't have a serger. Okay, Liz? Um, all right. All right. How many of you are still on here anyway? It's hard to tell when you're on StreamYard how many people are watching. But don't forget to go like the video. Okay, so Liz, I'm going to press this down first. I don't know if you have an iron or if you just have a heat press. You can do the same with the heat press. Personally, I find it's easier to do it without the heat press because I don't want to burn my fingers. But I'm going to first fold it in. If I were to be doing it your way without a sewing machine, I'm going to do one without a sewing machine, with the sewing machine, and one with the cover stitch. So I would first do this. And I'm just going to fold it in just a little bit. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to fold it in again. And I'm just, when I say just a little bit, I'm literally probably just a quarter of an inch. This is when it gets super hot. You got to watch your fingers from the steam. This is a high steam iron. It's a professional iron. And I bought this years ago when I was making curtains. This is why I don't really like doing this, because then you're going to have to hold this down. And that's fine. You can still do that. But this fabric, it's polyester, and it wants to just have, it doesn't really want to hold the crease. Anyway, the reason why I got this iron years ago was when I was making curtains. I was burning up an iron every 2 months. That's how much I was making curtains, because I made Dorothy's ruffled curtains, or Dorothy's ruffled white curtains, and I what am I saying? I needed a high steam iron, and I didn't know what to do. So my cousin owned a cleaner, and I called him and I said, "What do you guys use for ironing at the cleaners?" And he told me the brand and told me what to get. And I bought this iron 30 years ago. 30 years ago for $300. 30 years ago for $300 was a lot of money. Oh man, oh no I didn't. 30 years ago, $300 was a lot of money, especially when you are a starving mom with little girls and you didn't work outside the home and you just had one income. That was a lot of money. So this one I'm going to do the cover stitch, and I only have to iron it down once. And I do want to iron it down a little bit more on this. Anyway, $300, 30 years ago. And I've had to replace a few parts along the way. And so maybe all total through the years, I've had to spend maybe $100 in parts. So $100 more. And I've invested $400 into this iron, and I've used it for 30 years. 30 years. I think I got my money's worth. What do you think? All right, so now I'm going to take this over to the machine, and I'm going to stitch it down before I do the top one. So let's move the camera. All right, so you know how long it took me to cut it out. Now I'm going to cut over here, and I have a domestic sewing machine, and I treated myself last year to an industrial sewing machine. I've always wanted an industrial sewing machine. I have a Juki 80 DDL 8700. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So it rolls over everything. This is how you reverse. Your foot pedal is on the ground, on the bottom of the frame, and I have a knee lifter and knee pedal, so I don't have to lift up the thing. And I'm just going to hold this down, and I'm going to sew right on the edge. One of the things I love about this industrial sewing machine is how smooth it sews. There is no comparison to a domestic sewing machine, is all I have to say. None. No comparison. The only thing about mine is I only have one stitch on this. It's straight stitch. And that didn't really bother me because most of my sewing is done with straight stitch. And I do have a domestic sewing machine. Actually, I have about 3 domestic sewing machines that if I want to do zigzag on, I can do zigzag on. And so since I felt like this was my priority, this is what I ended up getting. And that was mostly because of the cost of it. It was so much more at the time. I know Amber got one with both, and she got a really good deal. And if I had seen that one before I bought that one, I don't know, I could have possibly bought that one. Now that you've done this, this part, we're going to take it back over to the iron, and we're going to iron in this part, and then we're going to come back to the sewing machine. All right, so let me show you what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to iron down. So I need to trim that thread. I do like to trim all of my threads as I go, Liz. And I know anybody else is watching. I'm sorry, I'm just talking to Liz, but I know that she's interested in learning how. And Zoa, if you're still watching, Zoa. And so this is a basic flag pattern. And if you wanted to make it other dimensions, you can. But if you make it larger, so now I want to fold it down an inch and a half. An inch and a half. Now I can measure just so that you can see that I'm measuring it. So I'm going to measure just an inch and a half. And that's about it. Sorry, I sew so much that I eyeball a lot of times. And I don't mean to if I'm on live and I eyeball things with you. But you do get used to what measurements look like after a while. All right, so that's going to be the top part of your flag. Now you're going to go back over to the sewing machine. Let's roll back over here again. And this is the last step. And your flag is made. So the biggest thing is getting the right kind of material. What are you going to put on the flag? You can put just about anything you want on the flag if you sublimate. If you do HTV, you can do whatever design you would do on a t-shirt. You can do it on a flag. And there's the flag. Right up. And voila, there's your flag. There's one basic flag. So my thought is if I can make those flags that fast, there's no need for me to no need for me to order a blank. No need for me to order a blank at all. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to go to my cover stitch machine now because I'd love to show you how my cover stitch works. Okay, so the cover stitch is right here. So the cover stitch, if you're not familiar with how the cover stitch works, the cover stitch works like this. It does like a surge, stitch, finish, edge, all at the same time. Trying to figure out which way to put this so you can see best. That's why I put one of the cameras on a tripod. Trash can out of the way. Can you see the machine? There. I think you can see the machine. This one right here. Here's my hand. Everybody see okay? All right. So the thing about a cover stitch is you sew upside down. Upside down. So you need to figure out where your measurement is for your stitch and where you need to place it so that your stitches, your raw edge is covered. So I'm going to put it right at the edge of my foot. I'm going to start back here. This is a Juki 1501C. Come back up, move it back a little bit more. This is a Juki MSC 1500 cover stitch machine. I bought this one because I have fallen in love with the Juki brand machine, because they make this particular cover stitch machine like they make their commercial machines, their industrial machines. And I liked that option. Okay, so when you get to the edge of your stitching, you're going to need something to where you can go up underneath it, and you're going to pull it like this, and then you're going to cut the threads. I pull these threads back, and then I pull it out. And then you can, if I had scissors next, but I moved my scissors, you just trim your excess threads off, and there's your finished look. I don't know if you can see it. There's your finished look on your cover stitch. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. I always test to make sure where I fold it back just a little bit, just so I can see where my edge is. And then I place it up underneath my stitch. So if you do have a cover stitch and you've never figured out exactly how to do that, that's what I figured out. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways, but that's my favorite way of doing it, is checking it by looking. Because you can try to measure and do all of your hems a certain way, but they're not always going to be the exact same. And unlike a serger, you don't let it run off of your serging. Unlike a serger, you don't let it run off. Okay, I'll pull this back, and I'll pull that out, flip it off, and there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my machine, and I'm going to fold it down my 1.5 inches. But I think I think I might run this through the serger real quick, just because. I'm going to tell y'all something funny. Y'all saw me just cut those right off, right? There's a reason why I just cut them right off. I've messed up a few times on sewing with my serger, and trying to take out that serging is almost impossible. So I have decided if I have that much trouble with the tool trying to take out that serging, it's not coming out on its own. And I just don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and do the cover stitch on this as well. And this time I've got a bigger sew factor. What you do is you fold it over because you want to see where your needles are going to be. And you've got 3 little notches right here on your little foot that helps you. So that helps you be able to get it where you need it to have it. And then when I learned to do this, somebody said what you need to worry about is worrying about where your fabric is. Don't worry about where your needles are. Don't watch your needles. So I'm going to worry about where my fabric is located. And the flag is done. Trim it up. Do whatever you want to do to it. HTV, sublimation, or embroider on it. Whatever you choose. It's your flag. There you go. Voila. 2 flags. I'm not sure how long that took me to do that for you guys, but those 2 flags, if I were doing a lot of them, the other night when I did all the flags that I did, I just assembly lined them and I just kept going through the cover stitch machine, cover stitch machine, cover stitch machine, and then I flipped it and I would go back around to the other cover stitch. So I'm gonna try to catch up on this. You know what? I looked at Shopify, Liz, and I'm torn. That's why I haven't opened my Etsy shop. I like the fact that Etsy provides you with the platform. It provides you with a constant customer base. But, and the thing I like about Etsy, they provide you with a constant covered customer base. They also provide you with, you don't pay a fee unless you sell something. And then I looked at Shopify, and Shopify, I would have to pay a website fee every single month, whether I sell or not. And it doesn't have the same, customer base that Etsy does. So I'd like to do both, but I'm not sure how to get started with one or the other. So I haven't done either one. Has anybody done Amazon Homemade? Michelle, have you actually done Amazon Homemade? Hey, good. I'm glad you're here, Nero. Liz, you're on Etsy and you love it mostly. And the only reason why I haven't done it is because I'm going to have, my goal is to get it to where it's up and running as soon as I get back from my vacation in July, because I keep hearing all these people like, don't put your shop on vacation mode. And then I'm like, okay, what happens if I put all of my items on, Etsy and then they start selling and I'm leaving? And then I'm stuck with all these orders and I need all these machines to be able to do all of those orders. So I figured I would get it to where it would launch when I get back off of vacation. And then whatever happens from there happens. So I hope it turns out really well. I have a little model that I made a lot of samples for, and her mom is taking professional pictures. But the model is 1 year old, so she's not exactly 100% reliable and cooperative as an adult would be or an older child would be. So she has to do a few outfits at a time. So she's done two of my outfits so far. She's made pictures for, and I'm really waiting for all of those pictures to be done so that I can really launch that store on the Etsy store. And then I'm going to launch the Shopify also at the same time, and also keep my Facebook groups. But I don't find Facebook user friendly at all. Anybody, if anybody knows, so Barbara, you're going to start Shopify. If anybody knows of a better way to do Facebook, the Facebook pages, please, by all means, send me messages and let's start a conversation, because I'm not real good with it, even though I've been using it for a year. Oh, you've been cutting grass, Mary? Yeah, it's not good. Well, I'm going to make these shorts that I've cut out already. So if you guys want to hang out and watch me make the shorts. So I have two pairs of shorts, and I got to think about it for just a moment. So just bear with me. I don't usually read the pattern after I'm done with it. I do know that I want to do this. I want to, using the cover stitch machine, what I like is that I like my stitches to be one continuous stitch. So I like to sew my inseams of my shorts first. Trying to find the camera. So I've got to sew the inseams first, and then I'm going to fold it under and I'm going to do the hem. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the two legs together and stitch down the crotch with the serger, and then I'm going to do the waistband. It's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to make these shorts. So let's show the camera. Where's the camera? Can you see my serger okay over here, or do you want me to move the camera a little bit closer to the serger? I think you can see it. And I'll turn around and show you that. So I'm going to start with my serger on all of the legs. I'm just going to sew the legs. I use the cutter. I've never learned how to use the serger without using the cutter. So I don't know any different. I just always cut off a little bit. When I say a little bit, literally it's just a little bit. It's like 1/8 of an inch that I cut off every time. And when I sew, I do all of the same task at the same time. So right now I'm doing all of the inseams. And if you're a beginner sewer, when you're making lots of the same items, you should do all of the same steps at the same time. It makes things faster. This one. Same thing for this one. These might be a little bit too big. I'm gonna reassess this size, because remember I needed to size this down just a little bit more, and I might need to come back and cut off some more of it. Look at this for the legs. Yeah, I'm going to trim this down just a little bit, since this is for the little one. I think this is the little ones. She's got some pretty thick legs, but I don't know that she's got that thick of legs. I'm going to cut off a little bit extra. I'm just going to cut off that whole seam, just so that I can make it a little bit smaller. All right. So now I'm going to trim off. I'm going to trim off all of the ends. That's what I'm going to do first. And you really can do the whole construction of the shorts and then do all of the hems. I just find it easier to do all of the hems in pieces before everything's connected. Okay. So you've got to turn one leg. You're going to want to fold it, and you want to fold each one of them the same amount of your measurement. And I'm going to leave them inside out, because I'm actually going to sew it from inside. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to measure with my iron, and I'm going to move this camera. one can move easier than any of the other ones can. So that you can see what I'm doing. It is raining to beat the band here. Anybody else having a beautiful Memorial weekend? And I kind of know what I want the hem to be. And like I said, I don't really measure a lot because I already know what I really want it to look like. But it's basically, I'm going to measure it just so I can tell you what it is. It's a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch is what I did, is I turned it down a 1/2 inch. And then you just want to be consistent and make sure all of them are turned down a 1/2 inch. And the reason why they're 1/2 inch is because you want the shorts to go down below, just kind of above the knee, not to the knee, but you want it to be long enough to where they can see the shorts underneath their little peplum shirt. And if you get the shorts too short, then they don't see them. And you lose all of your little cuteness that's supposed to be going on. You know what I figured out yesterday about the live that takes place that doesn't happen when you're watching a video? It's that you get to hang out with everybody. And not just me, but you guys, because I'm sure y'all are just chatting away and hanging out with each other, which is super cool. Super cool. And I know Alicia is getting ready to start her live, so I'm going to probably be going off of here soon so that we can hop over and support Alicia. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this morning. This is kind of wonky right here, but I'm just going to make the adjustments. And it will work its way out. And I know that Amber, she always uses that tape. And I bought some, and I wasn't a fan of what it made my clothing look like after I did it. And I know it washes out, but I just didn't like having it in this fabric because it was very noticeable that I had it in there. So I guess it really depends on the fabric you're using. So if you do use Amber's method of using that tape to hold your stitching down, beware of what type of material you're using. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go over to the cover stitch machine and do all of the hems. Thing about the cover stitch is because you're sewing it upside down. The reason why I left it inside out is because it makes it easy. And you put it up underneath here, and you can still measure where it is because your feet kind of help you guide where it is supposed to be. So I'm going to first figure this out here, so I know where my placement is going to be. So I know it's right here at this edge is where it needs to be, and then I'm going to sit my foot down. There, maybe a bit more over. Okay, now when you're doing this, and if you're using the cover stitch, remember these 3 notches that I told you were right here on your front of your foot? You're going to want to pay attention to that when you get back, because that will help you line up to where your 3 stitches will go on top of the last 3 stitches that you did. And I use 3 needles. I haven't taken my other needle out just yet, only because I kind of like the look of the 3 needle. All right, so now I'm coming back around, and I will say I like to cut off these strings before, and if you tug on the one on the back, it locks that stitch in. And I'm going to trim off these threads. And then when I come over top of it, I'm going to pay attention to where these 3 notches are. If I line that stitch up where those 3 notches are, it stitches right back over the other thread, and then I can lift up my foot. And let me show you what it looks like. That. Tug and pull that out. And when you pull that like that, it pulls all the threads to the back of your garment, and it also locks it in place. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is where I went back over top of it. Do you see how it looks like it's seamless? Because it just went right over top of it. And this is what it looks like on the back. And this is what it looks like on the front. So that's one leg completely done. And then I just have to do the rest of the legs. What time is it? All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye so that we can support Alicia, because I know that she's scheduled at 12:30 her time, and is it 12:30, or is she getting ready to start or not? It's 12:30 my time. What time does Alicia start? What time does Alicia start with her live? Can somebody type that in there? Is it 11:30 or 12:30 that she starts with her live? Hey, Lakeisha. And if I haven't said hi to everybody, she starts in like 8 minutes. That's what I was thinking. She was starting in like 8 minutes. It's 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Well, it's 12:23 here. So I appreciate everybody joining me for the live, and it was fun hanging out with you guys. And I'll see you on Alicia's channel in just a few minutes, and I'm going to sign off. But thanks for joining me this morning. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you later. And hey, I look forward to seeing some of you guys making flags, okay? And if you need any more information, don't hesitate to send me a message, and I'll try to give you some more help. So good luck, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. It was great hanging out, Barbara. All right, bye, guys.